Dear listeners, we're back with a new story. Get ready for cheating, revenge, and wild relationship drama. The day had been ordinary, painfully so, in retrospect. I left work, fought my way through rush hour traffic, and finally turned the key to the front door, eager to unwind. I expected to find Lisa in the kitchen, maybe scrolling through her phone or watching one of her favorite shows. Instead, I found her sitting at the dining table, staring at a half-empty glass of wine, her face unreadable. "Hey," I said, setting my keys on the counter. She didn't respond, didn't even glance up, which immediately sent a chill through me. It wasn't like her to be so withdrawn, so distant. "Lisa? Everything okay?" She took a long, deliberate sip of wine, as if drawing strength from it. "We need to talk," she finally said, her voice low, almost as if she were afraid of the words she was about to utter. My stomach tightened. "About what?" I asked, moving closer, trying to gauge her mood. "Did something happen today?" "Not today." "It's been happening for a while," she said, setting the glass down and folding her hands in front of her. She looked up at me then, her eyes carrying an intensity that made me feel exposed, vulnerable. "Please, just sit." I pulled out a chair and sat, feeling like I was being led to the gallows. "You're scaring me," I admitted, trying to force a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Whatever it is, we can handle it." She took a deep breath, and her hands started to shake. "I've been thinking about us," she began, her eyes locked onto mine. "About our marriage, and what I need." "What do you mean?" I said, my voice tight. I felt my heart beating faster, the unease creeping in like a rising tide. "I want to be with other men," she said, bluntly, as if that one sentence explained everything. The words hung in the air like smoke, impossible to grasp or process. "What?" I managed to choke out, convinced I had misheard her. "You want to what?" "I want to have sexual experiences with other men," she repeated, and this time, there was no mistaking her words. "I need to feel alive in a way I haven't for a long time. And I need to be honest with you about that." I stared at her, unable to form a coherent thought, let alone a sentence. My mind raced, trying to make sense of this surreal, gut-wrenching moment. "Is this some kind of joke?" I demanded, my voice trembling. "Are you messing with me?" "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "It's not a joke. I've been feeling this way for a long time, and I can't pretend anymore." "You can't be serious, Lisa." I ran my hands through my hair, trying to keep my composure. "You're talking about cheating on me. How is this supposed to make any sense?" "It's not about cheating," she insisted, leaning forward. Her voice was urgent now, desperate. "I'm not trying to replace you or hurt you. I need to feel something more, something different." "Different?" I repeated incredulously. "You want to destroy our marriage for something different? Do you even hear yourself?" "I knew you wouldn't understand," she muttered, looking away. "But I hoped you'd at least try to see where I'm coming from." "No, I don't understand," I shot back. "And I'm not sure I want to. You're my wife, Lisa. We made vows to each other, remember? And I still love you," she said quickly. "That hasn't changed." "Love?" I laughed bitterly. "Is that what this is to you? Love?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Please, just listen," she begged. "I've been reading, researching, about open marriages, polyamory. There are couples who do this, who find a way to make it work." I felt the heat rising in my chest, the anger bubbling just beneath the surface. "I don't care what other couples do," I growled. "This isn't us. This isn't who we are." "Maybe it could be," she said softly, reaching out for my hand. But I pulled away, as if her touch burned me. "No," I said, shaking my head. "No, it can't be. Because I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with you being with other men." "Why does it have to be all or nothing?" she asked, tears now streaming down her face. "Why can't we find a way to be happy, both of us?" "Because you're asking me to share you," I shot back, my voice breaking. And I can't do that. I won't do that. We sat there in silence for a long moment, her sobs echoing in the room, mingling with the sound of my ragged breathing. I felt like I was drowning, struggling to keep my head above water, but the tide was relentless. Is there really no other way? I asked finally, my voice barely a whisper. No other way for us to fix this. This isn't about fixing anything, she said, wiping her tears. It's about being true to myself. I can't keep pretending, not anymore. And what about me? I demanded, slamming my fist on the table, making her jump. What about what I need? I don't have an answer for that, she admitted, her voice hollow. But I know I can't keep living a lie. I stared at her, this woman I thought I knew, the woman I had built my life with, and felt something inside me break. Then I guess I don't know who you are anymore, I said, standing up, unable to bear the sight of her. And maybe I never did. Please, she whispered, but I turned my back on her, unable to look at the tears streaming down her face, unable to confront the devastation I felt. I walked out, my heart shattering with each step, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly alone. The days that followed Lisa's shocking proposal felt like an endless nightmare. Each morning I woke up hoping that it had all been a bad dream, but the stark reality greeted me with cold indifference. We passed each other like ghosts in our own home, avoiding eye contact, the air thick with unspoken words and unresolved tensions. I spent my days at work, my mind barely focused, and my evenings drowning in the chaos of my thoughts. Every time I glanced at my phone, I half expected a message from her, some kind of explanation or a retraction of her outrageous desires. But there was nothing. Just silence, echoing through our empty house. One evening, I returned home to find Lisa sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the television. The glow of the screen cast shadows across her face, highlighting the fatigue etched in her features. I took a deep breath and decided it was time to confront this madness once and for all. Lisa, I said, trying to keep my voice steady as I approached her. We need to talk. She didn't look away from the screen. I thought we'd already talked, she replied, her tone flat. This isn't over, I said, feeling the anger rising again. You can't just drop a bombshell like that and expect everything to go back to normal. Finally, she turned to face me, her expression a mixture of weariness and defiance. I didn't think it was normal to begin with, she shot back. I've been trying to tell you what I need, and you're just shutting me down. I'm not shutting you down, I retorted, my frustration spilling over. I'm trying to protect what we have. You're asking for something that will destroy us. I'm not asking you to destroy anything, she insisted, her voice growing stronger. I'm asking for a chance to explore something that could make both of us happier. Or it could destroy us, I countered, shaking my head. You need to see that this is a huge risk. And what about the risk I've already taken by staying in a marriage where I feel unfulfilled? She demanded, her eyes blazing. How long can I pretend to be someone I'm not? I need to feel alive again. Alive? I echoed, incredulous. You think sleeping with other men is going to give you that feeling? That's a temporary thrill, Lisa, not a solution. She opened her mouth to respond, but I continued before she could speak. If you're serious about this, if this is really what you want, then we need to talk about the consequences. I can't sit here and watch you do this to us. Then what do you propose? She asked, folding her arms defiantly. You want to give me an ultimatum? Yes, I replied, taking a deep breath to steady myself. You need to choose. If you want to pursue this lifestyle, then I can't be part of it. I won't share you. And if you decide to go through with it, I will file for divorce. Divorce? Her eyes widened in shock. You're really going to throw everything away over this? It's not just this, Lisa. You're asking me to accept a betrayal that I can't comprehend, I said, my voice rising again. I need you to understand the gravity of what you're proposing. It's not just sex, it's about trust and commitment. It's about the vows we took. It doesn't have to mean I don't love you, she protested, her voice cracking. I still want us to be together. I just want to explore everything. Please, can't you see that? No, I can't, I replied, feeling my resolve harden. If you go through with this, I won't be here when you get back. You'll lose everything, your family, your home, everything we've built together. Lisa stared at me, her face a mix of anger and despair. You're willing to destroy our marriage over this? I'm willing to do whatever it takes to protect what we have, I insisted, my heart pounding in my chest. If that means ending it, then so be it. I can't live in a relationship built on deceit. We stood there, the silence stretching between us, heavy with unspoken thoughts. I could see the conflict in her eyes. Part of her wanted to fight, while another part seemed to consider the reality I was laying out before her. What if I choose to go through with it? She finally asked, her voice trembling slightly. Then it's over, I said firmly. No second chances. I won't wait around for you to come back to me after you've given yourself to other men. You need to understand that. For a long moment, she didn't respond. Her expression shifted, vulnerability creeping into her eyes as the weight of the decision loomed between us. You really mean it, don't you? You'll leave me? I don't want to, but I can't sacrifice my own self-respect for something I can't accept, I replied, my voice softer now. You have until the end of the month to decide. Why give me a deadline? She asked, her brow furrowing. What's the rush? Because I can't keep living in limbo, I answered, shaking my head. I need to know where I stand, where we stand. I deserve that much. As I turned to leave the room, I glanced back at her one last time. The uncertainty on her face mirrored the turmoil within me. Just think about what you really want, Lisa, I said quietly. And remember what's at stake. With that, I walked away, the door closing behind me, the finality of my ultimatum echoing in the silence. I felt like I had just drawn a line in the sand, and I hoped to hell she wouldn't cross it. But deep down, I feared she already had. The following weeks passed in a blur of tension and avoidance. Each morning, I would wake up with a knot in my stomach, haunted by the ultimatum I had given Lisa. Every night, she returned home later and later, always with some excuse, a late meeting, a friend needing support, a sudden craving for ice cream that took her out. I watched the clock tick by, counting the minutes until she would walk through the door, half expecting her to bring some new revelation that would shatter my world further. One particularly restless night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. The uncertainty gnawed at me, growing into a full-blown obsession. I had always prided myself on trusting Lisa, but now I felt a creeping paranoia settling in, whispering doubts in my ear. What if she was already pursuing those experiences she had so desperately craved? What if she was out there with other men right now? Unable to shake the feeling, I got out of bed and wandered into the living room. Lisa's phone lay charging on the kitchen counter, and before I knew it, my feet had carried me across the floor. I hesitated, glancing around to ensure I was alone. My heart raced as I picked up the phone, the weight of it heavy in my hands. The lock screen showed a picture of us from happier times, and for a brief moment, I felt a pang of guilt. But that guilt quickly faded, replaced by a fierce need to know the truth. I typed in the code that I had memorized over the years and was met with an onslaught of messages, notifications, and social media apps. My heart raced as I scrolled through her messages. At first, there were innocuous texts from friends and family. But then I saw it, a thread of conversations with someone named Jake. My heart plummeted as I clicked on it. Can't wait to see you tonight, one message read, followed by a string of flirty emojis. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. I dug deeper, reading the exchanges between them, and each message felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Just finished work, heading to the hotel now. You're still on for our little adventure, right? Another read. Absolutely. Can't wait to feel your hands on me, Lisa had replied. The world around me blurred as I scrolled further down, my hands trembling. I had seen enough. This wasn't just a fleeting dalliance, it was a full-blown affair. My heart raced as I felt the ground beneath me shift, reality crashing in like a wave. I dropped the phone back on the counter and staggered backward, the bile rising in my throat. "Why, Lisa? Why?" I muttered to myself, feeling the anger and betrayal simmering inside me. Just then, the front door creaked open, and I turned to see Lisa step inside, a carefree smile on her face. The moment she spotted me, her expression faltered. "Hey. You're up late," she said, trying to mask her surprise. "Late meeting?" I asked, my voice cold and biting. Her smile slipped as she stepped further into the living room. "Something like that. I thought I told you." "Yeah, you did," I replied, crossing my arms, the hurt bubbling just beneath the surface. "What I didn't expect was to find you texting Jake about your little adventure." Her face paled as realization dawned on her. "What?" "Don't even try to deny it," I interrupted, feeling the anger rise within me. "I saw the messages, Lisa. How could you do this?" I was going to tell you," she stammered, her voice trembling. "I just didn't know how." I shot back, incredulous. "How about you start with honesty? You promised me you wouldn't act on those desires." "I was confused," she exclaimed, her hands shaking. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." "Confused?" I echoed, incredulous. "You thought sleeping with someone else was a way to sort out your confusion? You're betraying our marriage, Lisa." "It's not just about sex," she pleaded, desperation creeping into her tone. "I thought it would help me figure out what I really wanted. I didn't think it would hurt you this much." "Of course it hurts," I shouted, my voice echoing in the empty room. "You're breaking my heart." "And for what? A fling with some guy you met?" "He's not just some guy," she cried, her voice breaking. "I thought I could find myself again, but now I see how much I've hurt you." "I didn't want to hurt you, I swear." "But you did," I said, the weight of her betrayal crashing down on me. "You've destroyed everything we had, everything we built together. This was supposed to be our life, Lisa." Tears streamed down her face as she stepped closer, reaching out to touch my arm. "Please, let's talk about this. We can work through it. I'll end things with him, I promise." "Talk?" I scoffed, pulling away from her touch. "What is there to talk about? You made your choice. You made your bed, now you have to lie in it." "Don't do this," she begged, her voice barely above a whisper. "I love you. I didn't mean for it to happen like this." "You love me?" I shook my head in disbelief. "Love is built on trust, Lisa. You've shattered that trust. You've broken everything we had. I don't even know who you are anymore." "I'm still me," she insisted, her voice rising. "I made a mistake, a terrible mistake, but I can fix it. I'll fix it." "No, you can't fix this," I said, my voice heavy with despair. "You can't unring this bell. I won't stay in a relationship where I'm not enough for you, where you're willing to throw away our life for some thrill." She stood there, silent, tears flowing freely now. "What do you want from me?" she whispered, her voice cracking. "I want you to understand the gravity of what you've done," I replied, the anger in my voice fading to a painful sorrow. "I want you to understand that there's no going back from this." As I turned away from her, the weight of my own heartbreak crushed me. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down into an abyss, and I knew that if I took one more step, there would be no turning back. In that moment, I realized I had to make a choice, whether to confront the chaos she had brought into our lives or to let it swallow me whole. The days that followed the discovery of Lisa's betrayal felt like a surreal blur, a whirlwind of emotions that left me reeling. I had expected anger, but instead, I found myself trapped in a haze of disbelief and sorrow. Each room in our house felt tainted, haunted by the memories of our past, now overshadowed by her infidelity. I moved through life like a ghost, barely acknowledging the world around me. Work became an escape, a place where I could drown in tasks and deadlines rather than face the emptiness at home. Friends reached out, concerned by my distant demeanor, but I brushed them off with vague excuses, unwilling to share the pain that had become my constant companion. One evening, I returned home later than usual, dreading the confrontation that was bound to occur. As I stepped into the living room, I found Lisa sitting on the couch, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with a mix of regret and determination. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice small. "I don't know what else there is to say," I replied, feeling the weight of her gaze. "You've made your choice." "I know," she said, her voice trembling. "But I want to explain. I want you to understand why I did it." "Explain." I scoffed, crossing my arms defensively. "What is there to explain? You chose to betray me. You chose to be with him." "I was lost," she admitted, her voice breaking. "I thought I could find a way to feel alive again without realizing how deeply I was hurting you. It was never about him, it was about me." "That's the problem, Lisa," I said, frustration bubbling up inside me. "You didn't consider me at all. You were so focused on your own needs that you ignored the vows we took, the promises we made." "I know I hurt you, and I'm so sorry," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "I never wanted to lose you. I thought I could have both, a little freedom without losing everything. But I was wrong." "Do you think an apology is enough?" I asked, my voice cold. "You can't just say sorry and expect everything to go back to normal. Trust is gone, and you shattered it." "I understand that," she said, her voice rising in desperation. "But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to rebuild it. I'll end things with him, I promise. I just need you to give me a chance." "A chance?" I echoed, shaking my head. "What's the point? You've already crossed the line, Lisa. There's no going back from this." "Please, just hear me out," she pleaded, her voice raw. "I know I messed up, but I love you. I want to fight for our marriage." "Love?" I shot back, incredulous. "This doesn't feel like love. It feels like betrayal, and it hurts. It hurts more than I can put into words." "Then let me show you that I can change," she insisted, rising from the couch. "I'll prove to you that I can be the wife you deserve. Just give me time to make it right." "Time?" I laughed bitterly. "How much time do you think it will take to heal from this? Months? Years? It's not something you can just fix with a few heartfelt apologies." "I know it will take time," she admitted, her shoulders slumping. "But I can't lose you, not like this. You're my everything. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back." "You can't just erase what you've done, Lisa," I replied, feeling the tears welling in my own eyes. "You've hurt me deeply. I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way again." "I understand if you need space," she said softly, her voice breaking. "But please don't give up on us. I'll fight for you, for our family." "Family," I murmured, the word catching in my throat. "What about the kids? They don't deserve to see their parents falling apart like this." "I know," she whispered, her face crumpling. "I've thought about them every day. I never wanted to hurt them either. I just wanted to feel happy again, and I went about it the wrong way." "I can't even look at you without feeling this rage and pain," I said, my voice trembling. "You've turned my whole world upside down, and I don't know how to come back from it." For a long moment, we stood there in silence, the weight of our reality pressing down on us like an anchor. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a precipice, unsure of whether to jump into the unknown or retreat to safety. "I don't know if I can forgive you," I finally admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "Not now, not anytime soon." "I'll wait," she said, her eyes pleading. "I'll wait for as long as it takes." With those words, something shifted within me. The anger began to ebb, replaced by a dull ache that settled deep in my chest. I didn't want to give up on her, on us, but the road ahead felt impossibly steep. "Maybe we need time apart," I suggested hesitantly, my heart heavy. "Maybe we need to think about what we really want." "Time apart," she repeated, her eyes wide with surprise. "Are you serious?" "I think it might be the only way for us to find clarity," I replied, my voice steady. "We can't keep pretending everything is fine when it's not." "Fine," she said softly, the weight of my words sinking in. I'll give you space. But know that I'm not giving up on you. I'll always love you, no matter what. As I turned away from her, the finality of my decision settled over me like a shroud. I didn't know what the future held for us, but I knew I had to take a step back and allow myself the time to heal, to think. The thought of our children living in a fractured home broke my heart, but I also knew I couldn't stay in a relationship that felt broken beyond repair. I walked into the bedroom, feeling the weight of Lisa's gaze on my back. The silence stretched between us like a chasm, and I knew we were both standing on opposite sides of it. It would take time to navigate this new reality, and I had no idea if we would find our way back to each other. But for now, the only thing I could do was